Welcome
to Film Shapes,
the podcast.
She's coming.
Well, good morning, guys. How are you going? Roly, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Bryony, how are you?
Fairly well. Woke
Great.
up with a bit of a head cold.
Did you?
Today.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Thanks for coming today, guys. To your own.
To our house. No problem.
10 steps down the hall.
10 steps. Anyway, today, guys, this is a pod about X-Men Dark Phoenix. By my count, it's about 10 or 12 in this franchise.
Now, but this is the last... This is the end of the series?
Well,
is that right?
Well, let's get to that in a moment.
Oh, okay, sorry. Jumping ahead.
Anyway, so I think this is the final Fox film for the X-Men. It's written and directed by Simon Kinberg, and it follows the Dark Phoenix comic book storyline where Jean Grey gets possessed by a cosmic entity and goes a bit Burko. Now, yes, it seems like Marvel Studios have appropriated this intellectual property off Fox. And so I think, this is the last one Fox is going to do with the same actors. I think they'll reboot in, 5-10 years or something.
Yeah.
So, you could say it's the final installment.
And it's gone over to Disney? Is that the idea?
Yeah, sorry, Marvel, I guess, are owned by Disney, so it's Disney, yeah.
Sorry, just mic adjustment.
Oh, yeah.
We just had someone come through. We're on the cast bot. We're actually casting this live for this episode. Someone's just come through. Alvin Francis says, X-Men Dark Phoenix summary. It sucks.
Thanks,
Okay.
Elvin. What was his name? Elvin?
And Alvin. I think he just came in to say it sucks and then he buggered off.
Right. Well, we might dispute that. I don't know. Depends what you think. Do you just before we get into this is 12 if you count the Deadpool movies. Are they counted as an X-Men film?
Why?
Well, they were in the Deadpool movies, the X-Men.
A couple of the X-Men were in it. Colossus and Teenage.
But there were also those scenes where he's...
but I think that's still, it's a Deadpool film with a cameo from X-Men.
Oh, yeah, it's not an X-Men branded movie, but it's in the same universe, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Unlike the Avengers don't appear to be in the same universe.
Avengers, Fantastic Four, they don't cross over yet.
But can I suggest that we ask Bryony to explain the X-Men timeline to us?
Oh, why?
Because she read an article about it, and I've got no idea.
Okay, go.
Just that everyone who knows anything about X-Men and has seen all the films say it's a complete and utter mess and makes no sense. And then I did read a couple of quotes. Apparently the director of this particular film tried to explain away some glaringly problematic things, like people just haven't aged at all over 30 years. And he explained that away by suggesting that, well, they are mutants after all. Perhaps they age differently.
Good point. Good point.
But, they did seem to age normally through their childhood and into adulthood, seemingly. But,
that's a good point, yeah.
And then also the fact that many events don't actually line up, like, Jean's already been killed by Wolverine. Where was Wolverine in this one? La-di-da-da-da. Many problems there, but apparently because Days of Future Past, I don't know if I've said that correctly.
No, that's right.
Because there was a moment where, I think, was it Wolverine went back in time? Mm-hmm. It's okay, we're allowed to rewrite the rest of history and what comes, because nothing could possibly be the same after that. I
think... I don't know where, but they did sort of retcon the third one, which is the third X-Men film, which was a pretty poor effort. Thanks, Roly.
They what? There's not much steps.
Oh, really? Sorry, we're just doing a refill. Thank you. Yeah, that'll do. Cheers.
Sounds like I'm urinating in my cup, but it's actually tea.
There's a couple of points there. I reckon, they've kind of got away with redoing the timeline because of that Days of Future Past one. Like, you notice at the end, Wolverine's back in that school and everyone's still there, even though he had killed her in The Last Stand from 2006. Trying to get... it's hard to... Marvel seem to have reasonably sorted out their timeline. Maybe there's one or two, sort of maybe half a year out or somewhere, but yeah, the X-Men is all over the place.
No, it is, and the internet and everyone on it seems to think that it's diabolically confusing.
Yeah.
And that's because it actually doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind being confused.
Just to expand on one of Amaresh's comments here about just young faces taking over and things, that's pretty important anyway as part of it. That's kind of a separate issue to the timeline, I think, in a way. But you do have to change the actors at some point,
they've already, I suppose they took over in First Class, didn't they? Because they...
well, that made sense because they went back in time. So that...
No, that was before Future Past. First Class was... hang on. You mean
that was a follow-on from...
a prequel of sorts, yeah.
But, I mean, you eventually... You know, if you're going to do another Wolverine movie back in the original timeline, you could use another actor to be Hugh Jackman's character.
No.
It doesn't
Could you not? No. No, he forever now. So Wolverine's
synonymous.
finished if Hugh Jackman's not going to do it anymore.
I feel like that is the
Really?
case. Yeah.
That's what you think?
Yeah.
They won't. No, they won't do that. They'll cast somebody else.
Yeah.
When people forget about Huge. Yeah. Well, that's true. This film really missed him. Even if he, like in First Class, I think he's in it for about a minute or 30 seconds, telling them to go and fuck themselves. And that was a great moment. That's probably one of the best moments in that film. And he's only in it for a few seconds. Yeah, I think they missed him in this film.
I missed him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, I found myself watching it trying to tie things in with, so I'm like, okay, so she's with Cyclops now, so when does Wolverine pop in? Oh, but hang on, she's dead, but she was supposed to meet Wolverine at some point because then there was the whole love triangle bit, and when's that going to happen? Oh, is this why everyone tiptoes around Jean, because she's so all-powerful, and like, because through all the films they always seem to tiptoe around her, and but she always doubts her own abilities, so for the self-doubting person, everyone seems to be terribly afraid of her somehow. And I thought maybe this is why, because of this worry, but it didn't. I realised it didn't tie in with anything.
I think they were setting up that love triangle in the first three films, and maybe that was going to be, well, they called the third film The Last Stand, perhaps thinking, that's it, we're only going to do a trilogy.
Maybe. And then when they went back to how the X-Men formed, I was okay with that. But now we've progressed further, and it just seems like I would have preferred it to be really, really clear, like, you know, take Batman, for instance. The Dark Knight series were completely different from the ridiculous eras of the Riddler and Arnie being
they did
the
just
ice.
start again.
You know, like they just did start again, whereas this felt like they hadn't made the clean break, really.
Yeah.
That would have sat comfortably.
Yeah. Well, I guess Days of Future Past was the last good one, probably. Then Apocalypse after that, which was dire.
Did we see that?
I think we decided not. I have to say...
I've got a feeling it's been so long since I've seen any of the other ones. But these are films that they're obviously making this film to stand on its own as a film. Rather than be a...
No, I think that you have to know...
Yeah, but the timeline's all messed up, so how can
No, it does. I mean, it follows on from Days of Future Past a bit, but specifically Apocalypse.
I think you just have to let X-Men 1, 2 and 3 go. Completely.
Yeah, okay, but First Class, Future Past, Apocalypse and this one.
Those follow on.
Sort of.
A bit.
Yeah.
Right.
A bit.
Same actors.
Can we maybe change the tack a bit on here? But,
sure.
But firstly, even before I want to get to one of my questions about this film, is the box office on it. Shady, how did it do?
Awful. It's now at the moment sitting about 200 million, and I guess it's about 3 or 4 weeks into its run, so it probably won't make much more than that, 300, and that's poor for something like this.
Yeah, I have to say, when we were looking at just session times, I was actually a little surprised, being the blockbuster it should be. We were very, very limited by what session times, because they just weren't showing, whereas when we'd gone to see...
Endgame.
Endgame. There was one every half an hour. Like, we had our pick.
We had a fucking bring your own baby session. I didn't even know it was before we got there. It was horrible. They didn't put the lights down.
Oh.
There was one baby who behaved itself, and one fucking 3-year-old going, "That girl's dead." You know, Why would you take a 3-year-old? The baby, I can understand. It's going to be sleeping or it's going to cry, whatever. It's not going to see it. That kid's getting affected by this film. It's an M film. That's irritating.
There was a lot of gun violence actually in this film of a sort that you don't normally see in these type of movies. Although guns tend to show up with Magneto around a little bit.
Yeah, because he can work them. Yeah.
But yeah, there was some heavy caliber headshots going on.
Yeah, it's 3-year-olds sitting down enjoying it or not. That was weird.
Yeah, little impaling through the chest.
Yes,
a bit of that, a bit of blood. You know.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask. This is the main question I've got.
Go for it.
And maybe there's a really simple answer that you've got. But that first scene with the spaceship.
Yeah.
And sorry, spoiler alert here.
Yeah, we'll spoil.
We're going to spoil things if you haven't seen the movie. So with that rescue mission, why didn't the blue kid with the tail just zap on up and bring people back with his teleport ability? Why did they have to get in a spaceship and go through all that jazz?
Okay. As I know it, he's got to be able to see where he's going. That's why he said, it's spinning too fast, I can't get in there. So they had to slow down the spaceship from that spin so he could see the way to get into it.
Well, I've got to admit, I'm a little disappointed that you answered it so succinctly. And quickly.
I might be wrong, but that's what I've remembered. Yeah.
Well, everywhere else he never goes very far.
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
There's another character, Blink, I think, in these X-Men. So she would have been handy. I think she can go wherever. Is that right? She has these little portals that she can jump through, a bit like Doctor Strange's portals in Endgame.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's too nerdy.
I mean, I thought it was an entertaining film.
Yeah,
I enjoyed my time watching it. I didn't get bored or fall asleep.
We haven't really brought that up. People are slagging the hell out of this.
Yeah.
23% on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought it was okay. Not great, but okay.
I actually really enjoyed it. And I have to say, I was dragging my feet there. Like, I was not excited to see this film. I'd fallen out of love with X-Men a while ago. And I left going, that was a pretty solid film.
Yeah, okay.
I enjoyed it.
I wonder why people are paying out on it so much.
Well, maybe because I'd already given up on X-Men. I didn't feel let down. Whereas maybe people who still held hope that something might make sense.
Low expectations can really improve a film.
Apocalypse was pretty damn awful, and maybe these people were hoping, come on, make it brilliant, and then we'll forgive Apocalypse. But because it wasn't brilliant, it was just okay. Maybe they've gone the other way.
I wonder as well, and I was looking at some of the Rotten Tomato reviews and things.
Tomato.
Yeah, how many of the people that don't like this film are guys, and I noticed there was mainly men saying, this is a complete waste of time. It's shit.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then I consciously looked for a female reviewer, and I found one, and she didn't say she didn't like it, but she did have a different angle on it, which was along the lines of Xavier and Magneto's little homoerotic thing going on, and they're
interesting.
Is that what it's really all about?
Shifts uncomfortably in his chair. Interesting.
Unresolved passion.
They're good mates. I'd never seen it as a possible romance, but why not?
Well, this is just
a bit of fan fiction there, I suppose.
Different point of view, I guess.
Yeah. It does. I think the gender idea. If guys are disliking this, it's probably because the females are taking a larger role in it. And Miss Mystique even says, why don't you call this the fucking ex-women, because we're always getting you guys out of trouble.
Saving you. Yeah.
That's a little bit, it seemed like that line was a bit forced. Like, okay, we've got to do something to a bit like...
sexist. No, but...
You know what I mean? It's that time. They seem to be able... They seem every one of these films, like Endgame did it as well, with all the women... going, like, she's not alone, she's got us, that sort of...
Well, it's a...
pushing it a little bit.
She's a very
Marvel-ish,
Captain Marvel kind of character, isn't she?
Right.
In terms of the power.
Yeah.
How do you compete with that? And it's kind of a story breaker in a way, because when someone's got all this power, it's like you got to get rid of them in order to.
No, that's Jean Grey. I'm talking about Mystique. You're talking about Grey, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. No, Mystique tells them that, tells Xavier, stop calling it the X-Men. It should be the X-Women. Yeah. That's part of her beef with Xavier at the beginning, which I'll come to this. This was an unusual situation. Did you find this? Why suddenly has Mystique got the shits with Xavier? And what's the point here?
Well,
is this just to create conflict? Because it's got nothing to do with the Dark Phoenix.
She knows he's an alcoholic. She's been closer to him, and she's just started to get the shits. But, maybe she's...
That didn't seem natural to me.
Oh, see, I would disagree.
I think it's fair questions, yeah.
I feel like in previous films, like, she was on the side of Magneto.
Yeah, that's true.
And was very much, mutants deserve to live more than them, kind of. And then she was brought around by Xavier to the idea that there is a better way for everyone to coexist. But then so she still has that little seed of kind of distrust of regular human beings.
Sure.
That is fairly well seated within her.
Yeah.
And then when she sees what she feels is unnecessary risks being taken in order to further what she calls like his ego trip.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. But don't you think that's sort of set up from a few of the earlier films with Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique? She's sort of, I'll go with him. No, maybe this is the right way. So she is conflicted, I guess, but it just seemed like it happened so quickly in this film. There was one moment, and it didn't seem like it was natural. It didn't seem organic. It seemed like maybe we have to remember back to the last 2 or 3 films.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like we're supposed to acknowledge time has passed. They've been doing a bunch of these rescue missions, and she brings up, each one of these missions becomes riskier and riskier.
Yeah.
And why are we risking our lives for these people who will turn on us in a moment? And he's still standing behind the idea that, no, this is the way forward, whereas she sees that little glimmer of, well, someone likes having their photo taken, someone likes having articles written about them, someone likes being on the private phone line to the president, and perhaps what started off as, the worthy cause has actually tripped into you just getting your rocks off on.
But that bit with like turning Xavier into a sort of megalomaniac didn't even suit. I don't think that's his. I didn't think that was his character projection.
Well, it could have been more interesting if they did something like that.
Yeah, if
in a crazy way like that. That would be.
Well,
that would make the film a bit different.
But I don't know. It seemed like, let's make these characters do this so we can move the plot onwards. And if it doesn't feel natural, fuck it, doesn't matter. Like Beast going suddenly, we're saving them from you, Charles. Really? Is he the big bad guy after all? I don't think so.
Oh, see, I kind of liked that it made him fallible, because I find him being like all-knowing and wise and never losing his
but really
tedious.
But there is a point that he was too manipulative. He blocked Jean Grey's powers. That's the thing they should have grabbed onto. It's not. I mean, that's where he let himself down, not being dangerous for the other kids around.
This whole thing is in the context of family, which came up a lot in the film, and I sort of feel it's your family give you the shit sometimes. Who hasn't wanted to kill their brother or sister or dad or it's all just
so that, I guess, the abandonment thing is the main thing. Like Jean was abandoned from early on by her father, and her mother died. And then maybe Mystique flipping between the two. She's trying to find a home. So there's family, abandonment, bit of sacrifice there.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Don't you think that the idea of Beast suddenly wanting to kill Jean Grey seemed a bit unusual?
That felt a little funny to me.
She needs to die. Really? No, this is your old teammate. Suddenly you're going to kill her just because she was responsible for Mystique's death?
See, I'd forgot. Had they got together in a previous film? I'd forgotten.
Yeah, they had. But And how quickly did Jennifer Lawrence want to be written out of this film? See you later. Yep, not interested. How long's the contract for? Yeah. Is that fridging?
Yeah, so you're putting the female character to bed.
Yep. Killing the female character to motivate the male characters. Because
well, I think it's quite possibly more likely, as you said, that she actually doesn't want to be in this, associated with these films anymore.
Yeah. And does that ring true for Quicksilver as well? Because he was conveniently sidelined, wasn't he?
Oh, hang on, which one's he?
Oh, he's the fast guy.
Yeah.
Who's he's a pretty charismatic actor, and
he barely existed.
He did one little attempt to get to Grey, and she was like, "You're nothing. I can deal with you." And so she knocked him out, and then he's out of the picture. Probably for 2/3 or maybe 3/4 of the film, he's not in it. Possibly, if you remember Days of Future Past, he does a really cool time slowdown thing where he runs around and he moves the bullets and stuff, which is fantastic. The second film that he's in, Apocalypse, I think, he does another one where he's saving the kids from the mansion fire or something, and that was kind of just, we've seen that before. Why are you doing that again? That's a bit shit.
Oh, see, I loved all of in that particular scene, I actually really enjoyed all of the little pockets of slow-mo, I thought.
In this film, in Dark Phoenix?
In this film, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just you saying that reminded me. And it wasn't always just around him necessarily. Like, there were parts where things were slowed down and you could just see someone's head get smushed by a bullet or... but that scene in particular and he's running up the splintering wood.
Yes, right. And she knocks him back.
I really enjoyed
so you need like a YouTube compilation of Quicksilver's best moments, I suppose.
I'm sure they exist.
Yeah. But maybe that's why who knows, maybe he wasn't available for too much of the shoot, or maybe they thought, people are sick of this guy. Not Bryony, of course, but maybe it was... Yeah, they
I just liked the imagery. I really liked seeing everything sort of...
Yeah, that the scene where they're breaking Magneto out in Days of Future Past is fantastic. It's one of the best scenes in that franchise, really. But maybe they thought, we'll do it too many times. It's going to irritate. Maybe it's going to seem
really
samey.
Expensive to make.
And maybe it's expensive.
Destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should make maybe a series just on the aftermath and all the workers that have to put the city back together when the X-Men have come through, and the little romances and adventures they have.
Would you watch that? I don't think I would.
No, because I do find little parts of my brain going like...
someone has to clean that up.
When Jean's like pulling all the train carriages off them and then just dropping them any which way over bridges, bursting stuff into flames, cars flying. I'm like... Who does it? Like, I wouldn't be super chuffed by these people. Oh, yeah, they apparently saved us, but look at the fucking mess they've made.
Yeah. I think Merv would be into that as well. He's certainly into the aftermath of things like that. This wouldn't happen. They're going to take 10 years to rebuild.
I imagine it'd be quite a good... I'd do it as a comedy. It'd be quite funny, actually.
Yeah. I think the comics have some sort of damage limitation comic thing about that, which seems quite boring, but anyway.
Any final thoughts on the...
what did you think of Jessica Chastain's performance in this? She's the alien.
Yeah. She's from quite an interesting Netflix series, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Called the
Is it her? The OA?
OA? Yeah,
I've got no idea. She's an Oscar winner, I think. Didn't she win an Oscar for something? She was in Zero Dark 30.
Anyway, I thought she was good.
Okay, we differ. I thought she was wooden, terrible.
I think she's supposed to be
wooden. That's her character.
Okay, you could do more with that, though. I think I just don't like her as an actor.
Okay.
How did you feel about...
fridging.
The new...
She should have been fridged.
New Jean actress.
Oh, she's fine.
Following on...
Yeah.
Are you a bit of a throner
Yes.
at all?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but seeing her in this kind of made me go back to Sansa a little bit.
Yeah, I thought, if I was her manager, which probably for good reasons I'm not, I would say don't take this film because your role is in a way too similar.
She took, do
something different, break out.
Yeah.
Don't get typecast.
I guess she was contracted to this from years before, like just after Thrones started, probably.
Oh, that long ago?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Maybe a couple of years, but...
Yeah.
I think,
I'd have to go back and check them.
She was already a bit famous.
Yeah. A couple of seasons, perhaps, yeah.
I actually thought when you look at, like, who's, like, hot to trot and looks good as a redhead, because Jean's always got red hair.
Yeah.
She's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of popular actresses and things, because you want someone with a bit of a name.
On that, I mean, is she supposed to turn into Famke Janssen, though? Like McAvoy's supposed to turn into Patrick Stewart, Fassbender's supposed to be McKellen.
See, this is where I have issues. Just stop. You just got to wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore.
Who?
It doesn't exist.
No,
Those
they
films,
do.
Those actors. No, let it go, because they don't make sense. You have to just look at it for what it is.
So they've gone through like decades between the films First Class, Future Past, Apocalypse. They jump roughly a decade each to 92. This film was set, I think, around about.
Oh, okay.
And the first X-Men film originally was made in 2000, and that was supposed to be a few years in the future. So let's say 2005, 6. From 92 to about 2005, James McAvoy turns into Patrick Stewart.
That doesn't seem right.
No. Exactly.
Unless
this
you
just goes back to my initial point where people don't age appropriately. And, but it's okay because they're mutants.
Well, yeah. I've heard the mystique unaging is because she's a shapeshifter, so she can...
Yeah, but none of them age.
I'm just trying to join their fight, aren't I? Yeah, that's true.
That's one of the glaring problems with... They haven't used makeup or anything to even attempt to age them.
So you think they're just saying, fuck it, who cares about the original ones?
I'll just let you know, I think Amaresh agrees with you.
Thank you, Amaresh.
About what?
I think... So the messages are showing up at the bottom, so I have to actually hit the button to see the new ones.
Yeah.
But, forget about the other films.
Oh, really?
You got to let it go. Just otherwise, you'll be constantly watching it, going, "Oh, so is that why? Is that why that bit? Oh, so when is the other bit from that film going to play into the? Oh, it's not.
Not sure. I'll be constantly watching any of the. Well, I did go back and flick through a couple of the early X-Men films. They're great. 1 and 2, Future Past, First Class. Some really cracking films. Logan is a great film too.
I haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen Logan?
No.
But I remember hearing that was good.
Sorry, it was on TV late at night one night, and it was a Wolverine film, and I probably watched about 10, 15 minutes of it, and there was this whole thing about some Japanese village and a bunch, and I was like, oh, is this some cheap, shitty... Wolverine remake thing, and then when Hugh Jackman actually appeared, I was just like, "Fuck off! This is terrible."
That's not Logan. That's
No, it's not Logan.
Oh, it's the other.
I was saying, I don't know what Wolverine film it was.
Yeah, it's the second one, I think.
But I saw about 10, 15 minutes of it, and I thought, oh, this is kind of like Cruel Intentions 2, when they don't have any of the original cast, and it's really shit, and it's kind of
What's
terrible.
you talking about, Roly?
I don't know.
What is Cruel Intentions 2?
Well, Cruel Intentions was a fantastic film I grew up with, and everyone loved it. And then they made the second one.
Actually, I do know.
You do know that?
I saw it at the cinema.
Oh, really?
And then they made the second one, and it doesn't have any of the original cast, and the script is really balls. It's like someone managed to pick it up cheap somehow, and they just made it terribly. But so I was watching this weird Japanese Wolverine thing, going, this is really bad. Like, how did they get the rights to do Wolverine? Then Hugh appears, and I was like, no. Come on, this is stupid.
Two of the two standalone Wolverines before Logan are pretty bad, and Logan is brilliant. So get cracking on that one, guys.
Okay.
There's no rules, is there, for a bad movie and when it's going to be a good one?
You never know.
You never know. But overall, this one?
I didn't hate it. I thought it was, better than average, but just... And probably a fair bit better than those two Wolverines, better than Apocalypse, better than X-Men 3. So it's maybe middle of the franchise.
I enjoyed it. I found it a little bit... Oh,
hello.
What was that?
I don't know.
I don't know what that was.
Well, there's a massive glitch in the system there. Have a look at that again.
I've got the...
What have you done?
I've done that same thing with the recording where I've got loop on and it's going back to the beginning.
Ah.
We'll be able to retrieve that, I hope.
Okay, nice one.
But yeah, we better wind it up.
Yeah, cool.
On the podcast side of things.
Rightio.
Let's, a little bit vanilla, but I liked the film. I
Yeah.
did enjoy it.
If you're not an X-Men fan, like die-hard fan, go see the film. You'll
If you're
enjoy
not
it.
if you're not a diehard fan,
Yeah, because it'll disappoint you
you're
if you
talking
are.
about Bruce Willis films now.
No, like just
Oh, I see, gotcha.
a very
Yeah.
enthusiastic fan.
Thanks for explaining.
Yes. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say if you're not an enthusiastic fan, you'll enjoy this film.
Okay. If it's a standalone kind of film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. But maybe we should look forward to the reboots in about 10 years or
Yeah,
earlier.
I don't know. I will.
Oh, but they're good characters.
Yeah.
Anywho, thanks very much, guys.
Thank
See you
you.
next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.